4, 3.
You didn't say 2 or 1.
Oh, you don't say 2 or 1.
Why not?
You just don't. Now, it goes 5, 4, 3. Welcome back to the Alright Show.
I have tried it since then with other people.
Didn't you buy like at your own?
Yeah, I have my
Yeah.
own tube. So
Yeah.
anytime people come over my house, I offer them a drink and then I offer them a peanut from the death line. I'm
Yeah.
like, hey, you guys want to try some crazy shit?
Have you gotten more people to actually
Yes.
try it? Yeah.
Yes, I've had people at my work try it, and I've had some friends try it. You know, everyone downplays it, and they kind of think that it's not going to be that hot, but
Yeah.
oh my
Dude,
god.
yeah, if you don't like explicitly warn them how bad it is, like people I think underestimate it and they're just like, oh, it's
Yeah, man,
I'll go for
I
it.
remember sitting here and I literally thought that we were going to have to go to the hospital.
Yeah.
My my stomach was on fire, all of my body
Dude,
was
I
on
thought you were gonna have to go to the hospital too. I remember like thinking it was funny, and then like it became like less funny because you were like, I was actually like concerned for you after a certain point. Like, is he actually gonna have to go to the hospital?
It was I was concerned, man. I mean, honestly, looking back on it now, though, I can't tell you how many times I rewatch.
Yeah,
It is absolutely hilarious.
that's
because
probably why
both
that's
of
our
us-
most watched, one of our most watched podcasts.
It's probably for me, man.
Maybe.
I'm
I mean, me too. Honestly, I've rewatched a few of those. So.
But I'm gonna be honest with you, man. Yeah, that as soon as we eat it, you could just tell. You see our face just immediately go red. And at
Yeah.
first we're laughing, and then it just turns
yeah,
into,
not for long.
into a nightmare. Yeah,
Yeah.
man. But
I've had it. I've done it 3 times. I think I did it with. Did we do it twice or we just did it once?
we just did it that one time.
Yeah. So I did it with you, Isaac, and Nick. I think that's it.
Did everyone else kind of?
The time I did it with Isaac, we each threw up, and then
God.
he'd been drinking a little, which was probably a bad idea, and then I drank like a gallon of water like after it. So
Yeah.
I think that kind of, did it. But and then Nick and I, when that was the 3rd time I did it, so I kind of like went into it with a little more of a plan,
Right.
and I made like White Russians for us, which have like dairy in them.
That sounds amazing.
They're so good.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that helped a lot. Like having that to chase the peanut with.
Yeah, man. I always tell myself I'll never do that again, but anytime I just drink a little bit with my friends, and
Yeah,
that's when the
you end up doing
conversation-
it.
Yeah.
How many times have you had it?
Gosh, man, I'm gonna be honest with you. I've probably done it about 6 times since then.
Okay. Since then, so 7 total?
Yeah, like 7 in total, definitely. There was one time that was really bad. I went to this Halloween party and I was dressed up as Captain Jack Sparrow,
Nice.
and man, I was absolutely plastered. I'm gonna be honest with you. And
Yeah.
Me and my friends, I was like, all right, look, dude, we're finally to this point to where I think we got enough liquid courage. Let's do this. Let's try this. Let's try this hot peanut. It's not gonna be anything. And as soon as I ate it, I spit it back out. I'm gonna be honest, because I was like, yeah, I can't fucking do this.
You just, yeah.
And when I did so, I also rubbed my eyes like
Oh,
a
man.
fucking idiot.
Yeah.
And I ended up getting the capsaicin crystals like in
Yeah.
my eye.
Yeah. That was
And
fun.
my friend has this
sure.
all on video, dude.
Yeah.
Like, and
I think you actually showed it to me. This was like years ago, right? A couple
Yeah,
years
yeah.
ago.
This was a couple years ago.
Yeah.
I had the black eyeliner on. I was like a total mess. Like I had eyeliner coming down my face because all the tears. And,
Yeah.
And my friend's solution was to take me in the backyard. He was spraying me in the face with his water hose. He was
Yeah.
like, dude, just chill. Oh my god, dude, that was a
Did
nightmare.
it help? Did
Yeah.
the hose help?
No, no,
It just
no,
made
not
you
at all,
just
dude.
look like
I
more
poured
of a
milk
mess.
on my face, man. I was like, I don't know what to do. I was freaking
Was
out.
it just one peanut?
One peanut,
Have
man.
you ever tried more than one?
No.
I haven't either. I've thought
I
about
don't
trying
think-
like 3 at once. Because technically, that's how you're supposed to do it. You're supposed to split like, or you're supposed to have like a handful or something of them.
You're supposed to do the whole tube, I think.
Yeah, well, split between like a group of people.
Oh
I
my
don't think
God.
it's for like one person.
I
but-
couldn't imagine one person sitting there eating that, man.
Have you ever? There's a guy on YouTube, Houston Jones is his like YouTube name. He does like torturous videos to himself. Like, watch me play soccer on like a field full of Legos or something, where he has to like walk on Legos, and he ended up like hurting himself a few times, like pretty bad. But one of the videos, after we tried that, I started like looking it up online, and that's how I found him, I think. But he did like the whole tube by himself,
man.
and he ends up like in a bathtub, like just pouring gallons of milk on himself. Like, it's honestly hilarious. Like, it's one of the funnier videos I've seen on there.
Goodness, man. Yeah,
he's,
that was that was actually the last time I've done it, and I don't see myself going back to it anytime
yeah, I
soon.
still have the tube, and I mention it to people every now and then, but like, I don't know if I'll ever do it again.
yeah, man, that was torture.
Like,
That
I have it just in case, but
it's always a fun conversation starter.
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. And if I offer it to people sometimes, but I usually don't have like the callousness to be like, to not like explicitly warn them. You know what I mean? Like, I want to, like, part of me wants to just like challenge them to it, be like, yeah, like, bet you can't do this, like, try to like goad them into it,
Yep.
but I know how bad it is, and I've suffered through it, so like, I just feel like I have to be like, it's terrible, but if you want to try it, go ahead. Like,
I don't recommend it.
yeah,
It's up to you.
yeah.
Well, man, yeah. I mean, what's been new with you? How's
Oh man, a lot, really. I'm trying to think where to start. We just kind of recently finished like upgrading the electric for the shop out there.
Yeah.
So like, that was a hell of a project. We had to get like a telephone pole put in, and then I had to get like plans approved from. Well, I had to work with an architect and an electrical engineer to get plans made. Then I had to work with like the National Inspection Corporation to like get it approved and send it to the city to get a permit, and then. Long story short, like, I mean, there's so much to it, but like, I've been working on this for a few years. Like, it's literally taken like 2 years to get it done, probably. But part of that was because of like supply chain issues and stuff. Like, I had ordered some electrical equipment that I guess I was told they needed some parts from overseas or something, and because of COVID and stuff going on overseas, like, I don't know. They gave me all kinds of reasons why it was taking forever, but I was kind of at their mercy, so that was part of why it took so long. But anyway, I got it done. So
yeah. I remember you talking about that a couple years ago about how you wanted to
yeah,
get that all
yeah,
up and going, man.
yeah. It's getting
awesome.
very close. I mean, the electric's pretty much done, and then like the 15th of December, in a couple weeks from now, we have IV Mechanicals coming out to do HVAC. So like, they're gonna put the gas line in and like fix our air line, and then that's for the dryer, and then put a chiller in as well. And then I guess after that we can have a technician out to like actually install the press and the dryer finally. But like, I think I have to have the HVAC company out one more time after that to do the flue of the dryer. Everything is so expensive. It's like, it blows my mind like how much it's cost. Like, just I spent we had to do a trench. It was like 250 to 280 foot trench. We had to hire an excavation company to come out and dig it, and then I had to get like 8 tons of sand and 8 tons of gravel, at least 8 tons of sand. I think we got more than that actually, but and then I had to buy wire, and it's like 4/0 copper wire, which most people don't know anything about, but like, it's just like an expensive type of wire, and I mean, it ended up being like 15 grand just for the wire.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Like,
just for the wire?
Just for the wire. And
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
pretty wild.
just to give you an idea of like, that's just that portion of that project. So it's a pretty expensive project, but it'll pay for itself in the long run. It's just like,
man.
delayed gratification kind of thing.
That's fucking insane, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I saw you. I was watching the progress of you do everything on because I saw you would post stuff on your Facebook, like on the
stories.
Yeah, and that was crazy, man. Constantly seeing all those. Looks like your whole driveway was like dug up.
Yeah, we just got the excavation company came back last week, I think it was, and they hauled off the rest of the debris because we had backfilled with what we could because we had a bunch of dirt and like the dirt that was under the asphalt and stuff, but we had all the pieces of asphalt like piled up, and then all the concrete that they had to excavate as well. So that was sitting in the driveway for like 6 months or something. And then they finally, like, I was finally ready for them to come back and haul it off. So it's nice to see the driveway like actually empty now, thankfully. But yeah, it was a mess for a long time, and I had to just kind of like embrace the chaos.
Well, oh yeah, man, that's awesome. I'm happy for you.
Thank you.
To see it finally, like getting all the stuff that you wanted to, accomplish, like it's getting done and everything. That's so cool, man. I'm so happy for you. I'm happy for where you are.
Thanks,
for sure, man.
I appreciate
of course.
it. Yeah, I remember talking to you like it was probably like 2 years ago about possibly doing like sales and stuff, and I was like thinking about getting the auto up and running, and like I've been saying it for years, like I think I'll have it ready to go, like, you know, estimating it'll be a shorter amount of time than it was going to be. So like, because I remember when we spoke about it, I was thinking, I think I had said like by the end of that year, or like, you know, within a few months or something, I'd be ready. But, you know, 2 years later, and it's like we're getting there. But yeah, I mean, I'm expecting to have the auto actually like operating hopefully no later than February. But yeah, if it's up by like, I always end up like pushing the dates back. Like I was saying by the end of the year, and then it was like January, and now I'm saying February, and I was just about to say if it's running by spring, I'll be happy. So, but I mean, I will be, you know, I wanted to get it sooner, but sometimes like things happen that you don't expect, and like life just throws curveballs your way. So
yes, that is very true, man. Yeah, we I'm still in logistics. As of
yeah,
right
I was
now.
gonna ask if you're still, are you the same place?
Yeah, I'm really liking it, man. It's it was at first it was in a complete different industry than what like I was used to doing, and now I feel like I found like a comfortable like footing in it. You know what I mean? Like I understand it now. So I'm a lot more confident in what I do, and I mean, obviously, just like any job, you're gonna have days where you're like, oh man, this sucks.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, since then, because of the job, I mean, I was able to get a house. You know, I'm actually not that far from you.
Yeah, I remember you said you'd gotten a place in Cheviot, right?
Yeah, I'm not far from you at all. I mean, that was like a major thing for us, and just because rent, man, like post COVID, like actually, I believe it was during 2020 or somewhere around there. Like our rent was getting raised, and it was just absolutely crazy, man.
Yeah, I keep hearing people tell stories about how rent's like doubling. And
it's insane, and like at the time we were living in a 1-bedroom apartment. It was like a 525 square foot apartment, and they wanted to bump our rent up to almost $800 a month.
Yeah.
And
what was it before that?
It was 525.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a
moved
huge
in there
increase.
at 2019.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like in a year or so, they wanted to raise
like
it
a
that
year
much?
or two. I think it was probably 2021 is probably when that's when we started our house search, and then 2022, May of 22 is when we finally got our house. But yeah, dude, it was just crazy. I just could not wrap my head around like renting a place so small for that much. You know?
I think it's smarter to buy, but although I mean, in today's market now, especially like houses are more than they used to be, and like the interest rates aren't great. I mean, I heard recently there was like a 7% interest rate, which is really high.
Insane, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think my sister, I heard recently, she bought a house in Seattle, and I think her interest rate's like 2 point something.
Really?
I think, but I mean, the house is stupid expensive, and it's not like that big of a house either.
Right.
It's the amount she paid for like. I mean, granted, you're in Seattle, so I guess it's like location matters or for like your pricing, but still, it's just like if you spent that much here, you'd have like a way nicer place.
Right. Yeah. We. I mean, honestly, man, we were at a point of where like I know I wanted to kind of give up.
Mm-hmm. Like in the house.
Yeah, because like the amount of offers we put in, and my realtor would even tell me like really our biggest competition were like these big companies in California that would purchase these houses like with cash. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I could understand from a seller's point of view when someone's waving that money in your face, like, look, I could give this all to you right now.
Yeah, it's hard to pass that up.
Exactly. So I mean, like I get it, but yeah, man, I can't say how many times we were like declined, like our offers were declined and everything, and then we just ended up getting lucky with this one. And I can't tell you how happy I was. We were looking at moving further north in like Middletown and stuff because you know the houses were cheaper there. But really, I always wanted to stay on the west side.
Yeah.
You know.
Did you grow up on the west side?
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did, and I don't know, man. I mean, you know, it's home. You know what I mean?
For sure.
So, but yeah, like we really lucked out. We really lucked out with the place we saw. And,
you're happy with it?
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, that's great.
Although, I mean, with the new house, there are, you discover things like after you purchase the house. Oh yeah. You know what I mean?
I know.
Yeah. So.
We discovered a lot of stuff with this house. I mean, we
man,
had a lot of projects started that kind of opened up cans of worms that I wasn't expecting.
Our biggest issue that we have right now, and it's so fucking frustrating, is we in our bathroom, and we were even really hyped like when we were shown the house, because in our bathroom it's a jacuzzi tub.
Nice.
Yeah,
My
that's
parents
great.
had one of those. Yeah.
And,
They
you
get
know, it's-
moldy though. I've heard. Is that you're not? It's not where you're going with it. Is
So
it?
I can't even use it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you know, my wife one night she just decided she wanted to take a bath. You know, I go downstairs. I'm like, okay, it's time for me to play Halo. You do your thing,
Nice,
relax. You know.
Yeah.
And I heard dripping, and mind you, my bathroom is on the upstairs, and my living room, you know, is obviously
I
downstairs.
think you told me about this actually. It was dripping in through the ceiling, right?
Yes, man.
Yeah.
There was I kept thinking, I was like, where the hell is this dripping coming from? And
See
I
that? Sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry to interrupt
yeah.
you. That's-
Yeah,
we
I
had
see
a
it.
pretty bad leak that was coming in from the balcony, and then one time, sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good.
The beams in that family room, the wooden beams. One time I heard like it sounded like water just pouring. I was like, what did that sound? And I couldn't figure it out. And then I looked over, and there was just like a steady stream of water
Oh
just
my
coming out of the
gosh.
beams. So yeah,
Oh,
it was
man.
from the shower upstairs.
Yeah, that's exact. So
Yeah.
like ours, we didn't know this, but there was a so like on the jets, you know, that are inside this jacuzzi tub,
Mm-hmm.
there was a broken pipe
Mm-hmm.
that connected to one of the jets.
Mm-hmm.
So when the water was going inside the jet, it was going into the pipe and just falling onto the floor.
Yeah.
And leaking straight from the bathroom right into the living room.
Yeah.
And there was this huge, I mean, honestly, man, like it was, it was this giant water sack
Yeah.
just hanging from my ceiling.
Like in the
Like in the corner. Yeah, like in the corner there was like a...
fucking, what do you call it? Sorry for my language. Just the plaster or like drywall or whatever, it
Yeah.
was just kind of bubbling out.
It literally was a big bubble and
Yeah.
hanging down. It was a giant water sack. Just,
Yeah.
At first, I didn't even realize it, you know, because I honestly thought like one of my cats had like knocked over like my bottle of water or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, what the hell's going on? And then I look it up and I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
That's fun.
and that's something like bathroom remodels are just so expensive, dude.
Yeah.
I haven't even.
Have you not addressed it yet or whatever? Like
So like I've semi fixed the issue,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, just to be safe, we're not.
What was it like sold to you? Excuse me. Sorry. Like, did they not tell you about that when they sold it to you? Yeah, I think that happens a lot.
Yeah, and in fact, when we brought up the fact that it was a jacuzzi tub, like they kind of were like
That was like a
playing
selling
along.
point or something.
Yeah, and
Like, yeah, we got a
it's like,
jacuzzi
oh,
tub.
this is- yeah, like,
Check it out. You're gonna love this.
yeah, man. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
We can't even use it.
Yeah.
Uh,
Do you plan on getting it fixed, or are you just like? Eh?
for sure, it's just, you know, similar to what you were saying with your, you know, everything you're doing with the shop. Just everything's so fucking expensive right
Yeah.
now, and the
Projects
cost
take
of building
while.
materials, and honestly, man, my biggest concern, it's not even paying for the materials, it's finding someone that I trust enough to
Mhm.
actually do it.
Mm-hmm.
I've just heard of too many horror stories where people will hire contractors or something, and
Yeah.
things
like-
just don't go as planned, or it's just kind of like a whole nightmare. And
Yeah, I've heard my mom's best friend, they were getting like flooring done in their kitchen and like laundry room or something, and they bought a bunch of like clearance tile for super cheap, and then hired like, they thought they had found a good deal from a contractor, and they like did a portion of the work. I think they tore all the floor out, and then like just didn't come back and finish the job
Oh my
after a
God,
certain
that's
point.
what I mean, man.
Yeah.
That's,
Like I've luckily not had like a terrible experience with most of the contractors I've worked with. I did have a pretty bad experience with one that I can think of, but like most of them, I've hired quite a few since I got this house, and like I think they've all been decent, you know. I mean, I lucked out too. I think like my uncle was doing a bunch of stuff at first, so that was great, and then like this guy Tim, you know, he gave me really good pricing and he did good work, and
Yeah.
like I've just lucked out and gotten good referrals, or like just kind of found good people. But there's also been some people that I've hired that were like kind of expensive, and I just had to like bite the bullet, I think, you know. So
yeah, it's something we're just, you know, we're still just doing research on it and everything. And
yeah.
kind of going from there, you know. So
Do you need like a plumber? Is that what you're looking for, I guess?
yeah, it would be a plumber, and then also like it's a whole thing, man. It's a whole thing because we would have to redo the. There's like all this tile and
Yeah.
everything. Like we would want to completely redo like the
Yeah.
tile. We just want to.
You'd have to, or you just want to if you were to do
Honestly,
that?
I feel like we'd have to.
Yeah.
We'd have to, because the way that they put the tub in is they built the tile like around the tub.
Yeah.
So if I took the tub out, like the tile, it just
Has to come out,
yeah,
yeah.
it just wouldn't look right. So,
Yeah, I know. Like with water lines, especially if it's in like a second floor, if you're trying to fix it, you don't know where everything is usually, unless you like built the house or something.
Yep.
So like you have to tear out the whole ceiling underneath until you find
totally
it.
fine.
Yeah, it's like a huge project just to fix like one little leak, which yeah, unfortunately that's just like how it is. when we were doing my house, we like gut so much of the house that like I was pushed or like recommended to do the water stuff like while everything was exposed. So thankfully, like, you know, we tried to make sure to do that. But I mean, there's definitely a possibility of like years from now or whenever, like something could end up leaking, and then we'll have to address that. But hopefully not.
Yeah, man, that was. I mean, also our house I think was built in like 1919 or something.
Yeah,
like
this
that.
is 1908.
Yeah,
house.
they're really old houses in this area.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, I expected once I purchased the house, like, sure, I'm probably going to run into some things, but
Mhm.
you know, that was just something that was
Yeah.
really frustrating to deal with.
Do you think $50 a month is good for a cell phone bill? Changing topics. Sorry. Good
No,
segue.
you're good.
Is that good
For one person?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so.
Okay. I'm asking because you used to work at like T-Mobile, right?
Yeah, I used to. Yeah. That was. I'm glad to be out of retail.
I bet.
I'm so happy to be out of retail. Mind you, I'm grateful for all the skills that I learned.
Yeah.
At those jobs, and I mean, honestly, I feel like working at places like that, they make you a better consumer, like a smarter consumer.
Yeah.
In a way.
I would think so.
Because a lot of people don't read the fine print, like when you're signing up for like a phone service or anything. So
Yeah.
it's good to just, I don't know.
Yeah.
Be more aware.
Oh, for sure. I would imagine if you've worked in that, especially like the phone industry, I feel like there's a lot of those guys go off commissions and stuff,
Yeah.
right? So like it's pretty easy to get taken advantage of a little bit, I'd say, or just, you know, whatever, just being ignorant to like what is a good deal. Yeah.
I think that's a solid deal, though. Hell, if it's like unlimited,
Dude, I fought
everything,
tooth and nail for that shit.
Did you
Dude, I
really?
like I was in a previous relationship. We'd broken up, and it was Valentine's Day, and I was like a miserable person at the time, you
Yeah.
know. And I broke my phone, and like I went to Verizon to get a new phone, and I went in, you know, there and talked to the person working, and she like told me that there was a promotion to get like a free new iPhone if I like opened up a new number. And I was like, well, I've had this number. This is the only number I've ever had since like grade school. Everybody knows my number that I need to, and like I use it for business too, so I really don't want to change it. And then but I was like, I mean, if it means saving like $500 on a phone or something, I guess like I'll do it. So she talked me into it, and we opened up like a business number for me, and then like she gave me the phone, and then they started charging me for the phone like after the fact.
Yeah.
And I was like, WTF? Like, the only reason I did this was because you said there was a free promotion, you know? And so then I started like calling Verizon and explaining it, and you know, as you can imagine, they make it like really difficult to actually like get anything done, because I don't think really like, at least my impression was that they didn't really like want to help me get a lower cost, you know, because it's their job to try to make more money. So but yeah, I just spent like hours on the phone. It was honestly so ridiculous. Like I had a piece of paper and I was writing down like things they would tell me, so that way, because I had to call back like over and over again, or they'd call me back, and like they had to, like I had written it down eventually so I could reference stuff and be like, so and so told me this when I called at this point, and that was helpful, because I think if I didn't do that, I wouldn't have been able to remember like what people were offering me and like telling me they'd help me with. I've had some terrible customer service experiences, man.
I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I feel like since the pandemic, like customer service just feels like
It's worse.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It is worse. I mean, hats off. You know, hats off to people that have to work in retail and the food industry. Like,
Yeah.
I completely understand what kind of people you deal with. But yeah, man, I feel like a lot of places, honestly, I even feel like healthcare sometimes, man. I feel like, I don't know. I feel like I get it. Like the pandemic definitely beat them down, you know? what I
Yeah,
mean?
oh, for sure,
But
yeah.
It feels like, I don't know, just a doctor visit feels like it's supposed to just be like how fast they can get you out
Yeah,
of
I just
there.
had a doctor's visit yesterday because I hurt my knee playing tennis 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I thought I was gonna need surgery. Like it was one of the worst injuries I've ever had. Like it was really, really painful. And like I had that shoulder surgery a few years ago,
Yeah.
so like I've had an injury that was bad enough to know that I need a surgery. You know,
Yeah.
so when the knee injury happened like two Sundays ago, or 3 Sundays ago, I guess. I forget. Whatever. It was like 2 weeks ago. But I just kind of figured I was like going to be out for at least a month, maybe like 3 months or more, because it felt pretty bad. But thankfully it's healed like really well. But yeah, anyway, I had an initial appointment right after the injury, and like it was just so in and out, you know.
Yeah.
Like, and then yesterday I went in and I made a point to like think of what I wanted to ask him and make sure to like keep him there to ask him what I wanted, and take my time, at least not to take advantage of his time, but like just to
Go over some
get
stuff.
like the information I
Reassure
deserve
you.
and need, and
Yeah.
the reason I'm there to begin with. And I actually forgot like one of my questions, but it wasn't that important. So, but anyway, yeah, I definitely get that impression too. Like when I've gone to see the doctors, it's like you feel like you're being rushed. Like
Yeah, man.
like as soon as you pause, they're like, all right, see ya. Like,
So like yeah, at the beginning of the year, I've always had acid reflux, and at the beginning of the year, I don't know what it was, man. I mean, you know how life is. Like at moments in your life, you just get extremely stressed, and my stress was causing a lot of like inflammation, and I had no idea what was wrong with me. So like I was really confused and concerned because like my stomach was feeling a way I've never felt before. I had countless doctor visits. Then I had an endoscopy, which that's where they literally like they put you to sleep and they stick the camera in your mouth and like view your stomach. And after that operation, man, because like obviously you're worried. You're like, okay, could it be something more serious or anything? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when I woke up, the doctor that did the procedure, like I didn't even talk to him afterwards. He just told my wife like, oh yeah, it looks like his acid reflux
Just reminded me of something.
his acid reflux is just flaring up. That's the whole problem. And it's like, well, I had a lot of questions afterwards.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
as one should probably.
yeah,
or
man, it's like,
naturally.
you know, like this is my body. Like I'm
Yeah.
concerned.
It's your health.
Yeah. And yeah, man, that was definitely like that was an eye-opening experience for me too. I was like, oh my god.
When I had my shoulder surgery, I mean, that was a pretty major surgery. I had a complete shoulder replacement. Did I tell you about that? I don't know.
No.
So like, it was 2021, I think, probably, or no, 2020, I guess. Like right after it turned 2020 in the winter, I went to Colorado for a snowboard trip, and I'm not a snowboarder. Like I've done it. I did it like once in high school, and then not at all until the year before I got hurt. I went to Colorado with it was like a Kent State ski club, ski and snowboard club, and the guys that I went with, I mean, it was a bigger group, but like some of the people that I'd met were like encouraging me to go out on the mountain with them, and on like they were doing it, you know, their whole lives or a lot longer than I had been. So, excuse me, they were a lot more skilled and comfortable out there, and like I mean, I consider myself like a complete beginner really, and I went to like Perfect North once, I think, before we went out that year. But like I went out with some of the people that I was like rooming with, and they wanted to go out on like, you know, the slopes they would normally go on, which are like skill level. It goes like green is beginner, then blue is like intermediate, and then black is advanced, and then there's double black, and then there's like I think double black diamond or something. But they were going out on like blue/black slopes, and like I was just like out there with them, like falling every 5 seconds, you know. Like my tailbone was so sore, like I kept falling on my butt and like having to push up, you know, and it's just hard to like get up off your back or off your butt when you're strapped on a snowboard too, and it's sliding, and you're like trying to balance, and you're not very good at it, and you're on a mountain, and you're just like God, and there's people flying by you and stuff. But like I made it down, and you know, I the rest of that trip, that was the only time I think I went out with them. It was like a week-long trip or 5 days or whatever, but I just rode like by myself for the most part on like beginner slopes, because I was like, oh, this is my skill level, and I'd rather do that. So, and I told myself like next year when I go, I'm not gonna do the advanced slopes. I'm just gonna stay in my lane, and like even if that means like riding by myself, I'll do that. And I did that like the whole time until like my roommates had been encouraging me to go out with them, and I had already told myself like I'm not gonna go. And then I was like, all right, I'll go. And it was like the windiest day. Like they closed down a bunch of parts of the ski lifts, and like parts of the mountain you weren't even allowed on because it was so windy out. And like we were going on like blue slopes mostly. I think I've been told some of the blue slopes will cross into black as well. So like it's kind of like they can just randomly have little like sections that are more advanced. But we rode a couple different slopes down, and like I managed to get by. They also wanted to take me out into, I think they were just fucking with me a little bit, honestly, because they wanted to take me out into moguls. Do you know what moguls are?
No.
They're like the little bumps. They're like a bunch of like little hills, you know. So they're way better for skis.
Right.
It's terrible on a snowboard, especially if you don't know what the hell you're doing. And so they want to do moguls through the woods too. So there's trees everywhere. There's moguls everywhere. It was like so difficult for me, and like it was so exhausting too, because I'm falling a bunch and trying to, you know. And then I finally, the last run we were doing, we were going up the ski lift, and we got off, and I actually went the other way for a second. They started going, and I was just gonna go down like a different slope and head back to the hotel. And they're like, "Where are you going?" And I was like, I changed my mind. I was like, I'll just do it one more time, because I'd already gone down it a few times, and they kept going through the moguls, and I would just go around down like the normal slope, which was still like a blue slope, so it was kind of advanced, I guess. But I'd already gone down it a few times, like this same exact route, so I think that had like built a little confidence, but I think I was a little overly confident at that point, and a little too at ease or something. And there's a part of the slope that had a danger sign in front of it. There was a sign in the ground, and it's like said danger, you know, with like a circle and an X or whatever. Like, and I'd already gone down it like twice, but very, very carefully. Like I was like braking a ton, you know, like riding sideways down it, and it was super windy out, like I said, and that part of the slope was like ice. Like there was almost no powder at all, if any. You know, it was like just a sheet of ice, and so it was like really hard to dig into the snow and like turn or slow down very well. And the third time I think it was that I went down it, the 2 times prior I slowed down to like basically a stop at the top of the hill, and then just kind of like easily went down it, you know. Yeah. And the last time I slowed down, but I rolled into it, so I already had a little bit of speed, and then like I was going down it. I remember somebody was like kind of cruising by me, if I remember correctly, and like I tried to move a little bit, and then like I was off balance, and I don't even remember it extremely clearly, but like I clipped the board, like, you know, dug into the ice wrong or whatever, and I just fucking clipped and did like a flip, literally. Like I was probably going pretty fast, because I remember like flipping through the air, and I came down on my shoulder and just crushed my shoulder. Jesus. And then I fucking like bounced, I guess, and like hit my head. I was wearing a helmet, thankfully, but like I just remember like smacking my head and like white flash for a second, you know, and then I just like slid to a stop eventually, and you know, I could tell my shoulder was messed up. I was hoping it was just dislocated, but I mean, they had to get like ski patrol to put me in one of those stretchers and bring me down the mountain. Seriously, you know, man? Yeah, holy like hell, there was crazy. People like I guess they were practicing for like cross country skiing, because they were just kind of walking by, you know, somebody, and he's like, "You okay?" One guy before that rode by me, and they're like, "You all right?" And I was like still laying there, like had just fallen, and I was just like like but like I was not all right. And they then like I laid there for a while, and it was like pretty fucking cold out, as you can imagine, so I was like, I better like find somebody to help me get down, because I'm gonna like freeze out here. And so like somebody noticed me, and then like people out there are so nice, and like, you know, keep an eye out for each other, because they know it's dangerous. And so like skiers noticed me, or a skier noticed me, and then he flagged down somebody else, and then they flagged down ski patrol, and it's like hard to even get reception out there and shit, you know. Right. Like, so it's pretty dangerous if you get hurt, and you're in like a certain part of the slopes. But anyway, long story short, I crushed my shoulder, separated all 3 of my ligaments, like ACL or AC, CA, and some other one. So they had to like, this is such a long tangent, I'm sorry. I know we were talking about like doctor's visits, and I just got distracted. But yeah, like I had to get like a complete shoulder replacement for that. So like they had to, you know, like it took 2 weeks to even get into surgery, because I had to finish my trip in Colorado, because I was on like this ski trip with this college group, and like I had completely separated my shoulder to like, there's 6 levels of that injury, and I was like a level 4, and at level 3 you have to get surgery. So like at level 4 your bone is like piercing your muscle, but not like through the muscle. And then at 5, it's like all the way through the muscle, and at 6, it's like out of your skin.
Ugh.
Yeah. So like my clavicle was like completely dislocated at the time, and then they like. I had to just finish out the trip, go home, and then get surgery. But like this doctor saw me and he couldn't book me for surgery for 2 weeks, so I had to just like deal with that for 2 weeks, just a dislocated shoulder with like all my leg. It was so miserable, man.
That sounds miserable.
Yeah, it was the worst experience of my life probably. And then I had to like get surgery, so I went and got surgery, and I mean the surgery was like cutting off part of my clavicle, drilling 2 holes through it, and then taking a cadaver tendon and like tying it to a different bone. And like after the surgery, I woke up and I was put under anesthesia, and they fucking like rushed me out. Like I swear, like I just remember waking up so groggy and feeling like horrible and nauseous, and like just like kind of barely being like awake, and not laying there very long, and then them trying to like sit me up and get me like out of there. And I just remember thinking like why can't I just like lay here for like an hour, or like, I probably just paid like a bunch of money for surgery, so like why not let me rest for a minute, And I got up and I tried to walk out or like get up and get moving, and I immediately got super nauseous and like threw up, and like they had me lay back down again. But your story about doctors rushing you just reminded me of that, and that was a long preface for that. But that's why I brought that up, was just to say that like even after having like a pretty major surgery, they were still rushing me to leave.
Yeah, I mean it was the exact same experience for me. Mind
Yeah.
you, I didn't have like anything done. They just literally stuck the camera inside my stomach.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember waking up and I felt completely dazed out of my fucking mind.
Yeah.
Man. So it's that anesthesia.
Yeah.
And it was funny, as I was getting hauled out, I remember just like looking around all loopy, and my aunt's neighbor was actually like someone that works in that department, and she was like, "Hey, I know you," and like
Yeah.
I'm looking at her like, "What?" Like just getting wheeled out. Yeah. And the only thing they kept talking to me about was like, "Are you going to get breakfast after this?" And I'm like, "What the fuck? I don't know." Like, it's just like, "What's wrong with me? Tell me."
Yeah.
I don't care about breakfast right now.
Yeah.
I just want to let me just like, yeah, dude. I don't know. I understand. I felt the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I mean, again, I get it though. I'm sure. We of course everyone experienced the pandemic, and everyone encountered some kind of stress because of it.
Mm-hmm.
But like, we don't know what it was like for them, like healthcare workers and
for
everything.
sure.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I absolutely get it. I'm sure they're all burnt the fuck out. And,
Oh yeah,
and
my current girlfriend was working in healthcare when I met her, and did for probably like a year. She doesn't work there anymore, but like, yeah, she used to talk about like how bad it was.
yeah,
sometimes.
man, it's crazy to think that it even really happened.
Yeah.
Right now it's like, here it is, 2023. It's almost 2024, and it's like, yeah, that was almost 4 years ago.
Yeah, I know.
And it's
I feel like there's like 2 years of my life that like don't feel like they even happened or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it just feels like because I don't know, the pandemic was what, like 2 years or so.
yeah, it was like 2020, 2020. Mind you, it never really ended.
Yeah.
Per se.
I mean, technically, yeah,
It's
they're
just-
still doing COVID testing, and people are still
just
dealing
kind of.
used to it now.
I think everyone just got so like depressed. Honestly.
Yeah,
like, we're just trying to.
Yeah.
like, yeah, I get it.
I think people were like, well, not everybody, but like a lot of people were probably kind of like over it in a way. You
Yeah,
know what I
no,
mean? They're
I
like,
get
I mean, me personally, it's like I'll take the risks of just having a normal life. Like I have an accountant who during the pandemic he was wearing his mask, and then he put in like the plexiglass in front of him and the
Yeah.
people, and then he's wearing 2 masks, and I think at one point he might even been wearing 3, I don't know. But like I just remember sitting there talking to him like, this is so ridiculous. Like, I'm wearing a mask, he's wearing at least 2 masks plus plexiglass. Yeah, it's just like, what is going on here?
Yeah, look, so I was at T-Mobile at the time, and I had such like a massive amount of fear
Yeah.
of like, dude, any one of these people I'm talking to could just like.
Yeah, I mean, with my job, like I'm working from home for my own business, so I'm like kind of in a little bubble.
Yeah.
And I mean, I deal with customers, but not like anywhere near someone
Man,
in like retail or something.
Look, man, at first I was wiping down like our counters and phones like every single second.
I will
like,
say that was one of the things I liked about COVID was how
clean
everybody got way
everyone-
more
Yeah.
like clean focused.
Like, I can't
Yeah.
believe we have to tell people to wash their hands. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, man. Yeah, it was.
Did you have to do that at T-Mobile? So
Yeah, dude, it was a little stressful at times. We had like a strict mask rule,
Mhm.
and we would have to enforce the rule.
Yeah.
That was something that I personally I wasn't a huge fan of. I felt like it put us in danger sometimes.
Yeah, because people are so like opinionated about it. Like some have such extreme different viewpoints on that. Yeah, I mean, I had some friends like this one friend of mine who would text me sometimes about like this business didn't want him to come in because he wouldn't wear a mask, and he's like, "Screw you! It's a free country," and he would like vent to me about it. And it's like, to each their own. I understand where he's coming from, but I also respect that, like, you know, as a business owner, it's like you can enforce rules like that if you want to, and also like it's understandable if you're dealing with like a whole bunch of random people all day during a time where like this is a pandemic.
An uncertain pandemic.
Yeah.
It was definitely a little frightening, man. I mean, I've had some very tense encounters from just having to tell people to, you know, wear a mask and if they would keep it below, like, you know, how people would like have their nose out, but they would cover their mouth. Like we would have to tell them, like, can you please cover your mouth or your nose? And I hated doing that.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be honest with you.
It's like annoying when people would ask that sometimes, but at the same time, like I would usually, I can't really think of a time where I didn't really respect it, except like maybe at the airport where I was just like, I don't know, I was so tired. I just remember being like, you know, a lot of the people who are doing that, it's not like they necessarily want to. Excuse me. Like, I mean, a part of them may want to, but it's like they're just doing their job, you know, and like just like you don't need to give them a hard time, you know.
Yeah, man, it was.
But I get it at the same time, you know.
We were just doing our job. Yeah, I can't tell you. I had this one real big, like, brawny guy say I was a member of the Gestapo because I was asking him to put a mask on. And, like, look, again, you know, yeah, man, that was a whole fucking nightmare, that whole scenario. But here we are, man. I feel like now,
I know we made it through.
We made it through, and barely. I mean, mind you, everyone's living check to check now, and it's like times are rough, but you know, there's something fascinating going on. A couple years ago, there was so this is a rabbit hole I've been going down, and you know, definitely fact check things I'm gonna say.
We got actually, Lauren, can you pull that up?
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing to pull up yet. I was just joking. But I was just trying to sound like Joe Rogan.
Jamie.
Jamie.
Yeah.
But we can pull stuff up on here. She's we were just testing that out before you got here. So if there's anything.
I did want to.
Oh well, yeah. Whatever you were about to say. Yeah,
that's
I mean,
cool. That's
if it's,
sweet.
If something we can
pull
pull
up. Yeah, I still
got
to get used to the whole new setup, man. It's this is wild. I'm loving it.
Thank you. Yeah. It's come a long way.
But we so this is a rabbit hole I've been going down. Have you heard of David Grush?
That sounds familiar. Maybe.
So he was this guy. He was a intelligence officer for the Air Force.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Is this the alien guy?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, this is the alien guy. So, look,
I'm
man.
here for the alien conversation.
This is definitely something like I've always been like a believer, you know. But I've also
it's hard to believe that like in the for at least as far as we know, the ever expanding universe that we're the only life.
That we're it. Yeah, but to me, we classify like little microscopic life.
Yeah,
you know
that's
what I mean?
true. I was gonna
like,
say we've found some of that, right, on like Mars or some other planets where they've found little traces of life, but it's not like intelligent life.
That's something like even to me, I'm like, that's cool as shit.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Because it's like maybe that's a start of eventual intelligent life.
Yeah, like if you believe in evolution, and if it's, you know, with the way it's taught and everything, it seems like, well, the way life started on Earth was exactly
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even with finding traces of water or like ice caps on different
That's also
planets or
awesome.
moons. Yeah,
It's like,
exactly.
what?
Like that's what you need to sustain life, or at least part of what you need. So
But see, I'm someone I like to believe, like, okay, I believe in science, but at the same time, I am someone that I feel like you have to have an open mind.
mm-hmm.
You know, just think about how different society viewed things that we view now just
Right.
100 years ago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I mean, shit, man. Probably, like, yeah, even 800 years ago, people thought the Earth was flat. You
Yeah,
know
or
what I
that
mean?
the Earth was the center of the universe.
Yeah, exactly. And like there was all kinds of stuff like that, and
People were like shunned for not thinking that, you know, like Galileo, I think, right? Or
Yeah,
it was like ostracized from society and
dare
like
you introduce a
imprisoned
new idea.
for like contradicting the like. I guess it's like based on religion. I think the former beliefs of like our universe or solar system, not universe but solar system. I said it the center of our universe. I'm an idiot, but center of our solar system.
It's yeah, man, but like that's so like I definitely have an open mind. I'm like, look, I think anything could be possible. You know, I understand people that are like, I see it to believe it. Like I have to see it. I understand that for sure. But I always like to keep an open mind on things, and recently something that's really caught my interest is this David Grush guy. He was a Air Force intelligence officer, and he was doing an investigation, and upon the investigation, he realized that the United States has recovered
alien craft, right?
Yeah. And here's the crazy thing too.
Mm-hmm.
They're not even he's not even strictly saying extraterrestrial, you know, like technically extraterrestrial, that's, you know, not from Earth.
Yeah.
Now they're using this whole new type of terminology called like non-human intelligence.
Yeah.
And he's opened up a complete new like flood wave of this whole thing where like, okay, we need to stop having the perception that something came from a different planet to us.
Mm-hmm. Like there could be alien life here, is what you're saying?
Yeah, not just that, but like
Or
he
like,
even says like interdimensional.
I was just gonna say that next. Yeah,
Yeah,
like other
interdimensional
shit that's not like perceivable to us or something.
To me, like that absolutely blows my mind. I'm like, okay,
Yeah, that's pretty mind-boggling to
It
try
is
to conceive
mind-boggling.
that. But I've considered it before a number of times.
Well,
I don't think
the
it's
way
impossible.
he recently was on Joe Rogan, and he was talking about how, like, you know, we exist on a 3-dimensional plane.
Mhm.
So like to us, like if there are entities or something that have the ability to see in like a 4-dimensional plane,
Mhm.
and we just can't see. I mean,
Yeah.
think about it. Like,
I mean, there's other animals who see way differently than us.
exactly,
you know,
and
so-
and there's animals that are able to somehow communicate through wavelengths.
Yeah, or
I mean,
ultra red or ultraviolet, you know, light or whatever.
think dog whistle. I mean, we can't hear a fucking dog.
Yeah,
whistle,
exactly. There's
but,
so
like,
much stuff
it
that,
drives
like-
a dog crazy. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Yeah. So
Cats can see like at night, and you know, like whatever. I don't know.
I get
Can't think
what
of a
you're
better
saying.
example,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Yes.
something like that.
No, I get that, but yeah, I'm just saying. Like, I feel like when it comes to that type of subject, you have to have an open mind,
Yeah.
because I really feel like we just don't know. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? But
I think that's probably in my opinion, at least, that's like a better way of looking at it than having an absolutist type of perspective where you think you know what everything boils down to. Because I just feel like as humans, there's just so much beyond our comprehension
There
that we'll
is.
probably ever really understand.
And it's crazy. It is absolutely crazy. And what's made this David Grush guy so credible, though, is, there have been countless like veterans and people that have worked with defense contractors that have like came forward and they've made things public before. You know what I mean? But what makes him very special, or him being David Grush, is that he submitted a whistleblower complaint through the Inspector General.
Mm-hmm.
So he had to provide witnesses. Those witnesses also provided firsthand accounts to the Inspector General, and they've determined what he's saying is it's backed by credible evidence.
Mm-hmm.
Since then, there have been countless whistleblowers that have also came forward.
Mm-hmm.
Congress actually gave David Grush and some other like Ryan Graves. He was a pilot in the Air Force who has encountered some things, and so they got a lot of people with firsthand accounts, and David Grush, who commenced this, did this investigation, present all of their findings and a lot of their information to Congress, and basically state like, hey, look, we need to have some form of disclosure because this is something the American people need to know, and it's not so much like obviously it's just like, okay, I feel like we're in a era where people can accept the fact that we're not just it. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? I feel like society as a whole, I feel like is very open-minded to that idea. So I
A
think
lot of people like want that to be the case.
a lot
I
of
think.
people do.
Although
I
it's like
mean,
we don't really know what that would mean, so maybe we don't.
we
in
we
hindsight,
don't.
but-
Yeah, we don't know why disclosure hasn't been a thing. I mean, maybe it could all be disinformation. You never know.
Yeah.
That's another
Until
thing
that's
too.
the thing. It's like until you really have tangible evidence, like you can't really make anything.
100%
Absolute,
facts.
yeah.
And that's what but yeah, like when David Grush came to Congress, it really just kind of initiated this whole process that I never thought we would see. So right now there's even an amendment that they're trying to pass. I believe it's called the Schumer Amendment. And it's where they're trying to have disclosure, where the government has to, by a certain year, fully disclose everything it knows about UFOs and
That'd be awesome.
and aliens and everything.
I hope they do. I mean, I can understand, like, I've heard people explain that governments sometimes won't disclose certain information because of the panic it would induce in the public, which on one hand, it's like we deserve to know, but at the same time, like if it's going to make society go like crazy, you know, like maybe not.
That's the thing, like we'll never know how society would react until it happens.
For
You know
sure.
what I mean?
And it depends on like what exactly the information is, you know.
It yeah.
Speaking of space, can you give me a moment?
Sure, yeah.
I got you something, dude.
Oh, nice.
Here's this.
Okay.
I'll give you the other one next. Hold on.
Planet of the Hoojibs.
Yeah, check it out.
The Further Adventures.
It's a vinyl in there too.
Oh, real dude, this is sick. How old is this
I
thing?
have no idea. It's vintage, I'm sure. It's like from back in the day.
Dude, this is sick.
I thought you'd like it.
Oh man, I love this artwork. Man.
Yeah, it's really
that's
cool.
Sick. Whoop, and there's the vinyl.
Yeah. I haven't even listened to it. I've had it for a while.
Oh, dude, that is sick. Yeah, man. I
And then,
appreciate
here,
you.
you can have this too.
Oh shit. Oh, nice.
That's for
man.
Gingy. That's a thank you
Oh,
for
dude.
being our god cat father.
This is one of the best movies ever made too. Is there like
Right? Yeah, check it out.
Empire Strikes Back?
Here, I can hold it up to this camera. It's
Yeah,
probably
there you
better
go.
angle. Lauren, can you switch to this one? Other one.
Oh, that is sick.
Yeah, that's the Empire Strikes Back cover. And
And-
little Star Wars Planet of the Hoojibs. Is that how you say it?
I have no idea. I've never heard of a Hoojib.
Really?
Yeah, dude.
Oh, hell yeah, then.
That's cool. Hell yeah, man. Well, I really appreciate that.
Yeah,
Thank
man,
you.
for sure.
Oh, man, that is sick. Now, see, this is... Speaking of aliens, wouldn't it be amazing to live in the Star Wars universe?
I think that's like our future. I mean, I know it'll probably be a little different, but I think like I don't know if it'll be hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands of years from now or whatever. But I think I don't know if you've heard like people say that people have a tendency to sort of like create the future before it happens.
Yeah.
Like 2001: A Space Odyssey. Stanley Kubrick made, you know, what he imagined to be like a spaceship before spaceships even were a thing.
Right.
And like they ended up being pretty similar.
Because I think even now, like if you watch like a lot of those space documentaries where they talk about creating like synthetic gravity, I'm pretty sure the ship in 2001: A Space Odyssey had it to where like it was like,
spinning.
rotating. Yeah, and like that's based off science fact.
Yeah.
that you would have to.
He consulted with like space experts at the time and you know, like astronauts or not, I don't know what they were called, but like, you know, scientists and engineers and like, I mean, he's like a legend of the filmmaking
That's what I
industry.
mean, man. Like it seems like back then humanity just had such a strive for wanting to go further. You know what I mean?
That's what I like so much about Elon Musk, man.
Really?
I know a lot of people hate him, but like I really admire that he that's like one of his biggest goals is to like start to colonize Mars, and he's building, you know, reusable rockets to go to space. And do you know much about that?
No.
Okay, so he's pioneering space. I mean, they're the first private space exploration company. They're the first company at all in the space industry to make reusable rockets. Which, if you can think about it, he explains it like this. I've heard him say this a number of times, so I'm just trying to reiterate. But like, He said, like, you know, if you think about like the airplane industry, like every time you take a flight, if you had to have a one-way flight and then at the end of the flight they like basically scrap the airplane, can you imagine how expensive a flight would be?
Yeah, man, that'd be insane.
Like $100,000 per flight or something,
right,
per person. And that's why space travel has been so expensive and hard to do frequently, but they managed to create reusable rockets. So like they'll shoot them into space, they re-enter our Earth's orbit, and then they have jets on them that have enough control to turn around and then re-land, which is the first time that's ever been done. And so like, as you can imagine, being able to reuse a spaceship saves a huge amount of money. And then like they built the biggest ever spaceship called Falcon Heavy, I think, which can take like the largest ever loads to and from space. And I mean, I've actually watched a decent amount of videos about like, you know, just different things to do with space, like colonize there are like people out there who want to colonize Mars, and they simulate like space environments in these warehouses where they can make it seem like there's like no atmosphere or like something like that. It's like a vacuum, you know.
Yeah.
And they have been working on creating 3D printers that can actually take the minerals or like resources from like the surface of Mars and then 3D print it into like a dome, like house kind of structure.
I've seen that before.
Stuff like that. Like, anyway, it's just Musk is working on that, and he's pretty obsessed with it. Like he says like how you know, in order for like humanity to continue, like we have to colonize other worlds and be a multi-planetary species, which I think just sounds fucking cool.
That sounds awesome,
you know?
man.
And he's like, people have to have something to like look forward to and to like inspire them. And a lot of people like give him crap about like focusing on that and being passionate about it, because it's like, why don't you use your energy and resources for like Earth, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like a good question, but I mean, at the same time, it's like, it's a free country. Do what you want to do. And also like, it's, I think, very commendable to want to inspire, you know, current generations and future generations. And also just like he relates like Earth as like a little candle in like a vast darkness, and how like if that candle went out, like for all we know, there's no more life like ever, you know?
Right.
I mean, there's a good chance there's life elsewhere, but who knows really yet. So he's talking about trying to like, you know, expand, like say Earth randomly got hit by an asteroid that wiped everything out, or we do it to ourselves with nukes or something, you know? And it's like, if we have other colonies on other planets, then like, even if Earth was destroyed or compromised, then like you know, humanity could still prevail. So
I feel like that would be something that would give humanity to want to strive to, you know, discover and learn new things.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's kind of it right now. I feel within like the last 10 years, mind you, there have been advancements in technology, but it kind of feels like our consumer technology anyway seems like it's been the same for a while now. You know what I mean?
Consumer technology, like
phones and like I feel like
they aren't like revolutionizing much in that regard. It's
Yeah.
like phones. I mean, they're definitely making strides in like improving technology, but I think I know what you're saying. Like,
it just doesn't. Nothing hasn't felt, you know,
like
extremely like futuristic, I guess.
Yeah, there's nothing that's been like super groundbreaking. It doesn't seem. I guess they're talking about AI being that.
Yes.
Yeah,
and that's. What are your thoughts on AI?
It kind of freaks me out. I think it's pretty fascinating, but excuse me. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it kind of worries me a little bit.
Yeah.
Bring it back to Elon Musk because I'm like a fanboy, but he talks about how AI is more dangerous than the discovery of like nuclear power and like making nukes, because like it's like potentially creating a super intelligence that's smarter than people, you know, and can potentially like enslave people, or, you know, I don't know. I mean, who knows how much of that is like what would potentially actually happen, but yeah, no, it kind of freaks me out for sure. It's like, what if Terminator becomes a reality?
Terminator, I mean, Ultron, all kinds of, you know, like.
What was Ultron?
Ultron was he was in Avengers. He was an Avengers supervillain.
Yeah.
So there's, you know, stuff like that. Like, I understand the fear of artificial intelligence, and I myself find it a little worrisome. I mean, just think about like deep fakes.
Yeah.
You know, deep fakes, and I can't tell you how many times I'll just be scrolling on Facebook, and there'll be some deep fake ad where it'll be like it'll sound like Joe Rogan or
Yeah,
like
I've
some
seen
other
him
celebrity like
promote other
promoting
shit,
some
yeah.
product they never would promote,
Yeah.
and it sounds convincing.
Mm-hmm.
Who's to say that another country doesn't create a convincing deep fake of them declaring
War or
or
something.
Like,
Yeah.
that's the kind of stuff that creeps me out.
For
You know
sure.
what I mean?
Yeah. And it can also just put I mean, I guess industries have always like revolutionized the workforce. You know, like I remember talking to my sister about this actually on my podcast like 2 or 3 years ago. Not necessarily AI, but we were talking about like universal basic income and like how, you know, some people talk about how a lot of the workforce will be put out of work as technology and artificial intelligence improves because it'll just make them unnecessary. And for like people who run businesses, it'll be more efficient and less costly to like have a robot do things if it can do just as good or better of a job. It's like a worker that doesn't need to take breaks and eat and sleep and like, you know, so it's like hard to compete with that.
No shifts. Like they just
Yeah,
continue
that's
to work
24/7.
forever. God,
Yeah. So like there's good things about that, but at the same time, like some of the concerns I've heard people voice is that it'll put like a huge amount of people out of work. And another thing that Elon Musk actually has said on that is how if that would lead us to an age of abundance is what his opinion is, because, or at least that's what it should, but like it also depends on who's in control. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's a very interesting way to look at it too, because I've also seen people kind of state that maybe artificial intelligence, like obviously you have all like these really scary incomes, but it could be used for the betterment of humanity, and it could be a way like we'll have artificial intelligence that can do all this like mundane 9 to 5
or like
stuff,
the dangerous
and
jobs,
then, and then kind of lead to like a second renaissance.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So where humans just kind of strive for creativity and you know, pursue things that make us special. You know?
Right. Yeah, I think that would be so wonderful. Like if he was talking about how, you know, if it worked out that way, it could be that, you know, once AI and technology gets advanced enough to where like they can produce, you know, crops, like we'll have more abundance of food, things will be cheaper because it's easier to make and it's cheaper to make. So like in theory, like the cost of everything should decrease, the accessibility of everything should increase. You know, the amount of time people need to work would decrease because they wouldn't be needed. But like in order to, like, people derive meaning and you know, fulfillment out of work. So like if a lot of people are taken out of the workforce, it's like they need to still be able to sustain and also like have something to do with themselves.
Right.
So the things that I've heard him and some other people say is that, like, you know, the idea of universal basic income would be that like if companies were thriving to that extent, that like it would make more sense to give basically like the average person, like it's almost like giving them an allowance, which I don't know if I necessarily agree with it, but it's an interesting concept that I don't dismiss, I guess.
Right.
You know, I could see it working out. And then it's like, if that were the case and that became the reality, then, you know, that would be pretty incredible, because just hypothetically, like if that's how the world was operating, or our country, like if everybody was getting like their ends met, you know, financially, like even if it's just like the bare minimum, that makes so many people's lives better, which would make like the state, I think, of our society like way more peaceful probably.
Right.
And like just the level of like the average happiness and like satisfaction in life, I would think, would increase, and you'd have more time for your passions. And like, I don't know, I mean, it's a pipe dream maybe, but the idea of it's nice.
I understand that, and I don't know, man. I feel like one of our biggest things is I feel like there's a lack of spirituality, and that doesn't necessarily mean religion either,
Sure. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I think as a society, and especially as like just as a human race, I feel like we've lost that spiritual connection we've had, and it's caused a lot of harm. You know what I mean? I mean, I just think about how people treat one another now, and treat the planet. You know what I mean? So I don't know, man. So maybe that artificial intelligence could be a way to where it could free up people to kind of reconnect with that spiritual side, and
Hopefully. I would
know?
hope so. Yeah, I mean, I was just talking to my mom and girlfriend about this on a long drive, like a couple weeks ago. But yeah, I feel like a lot of what's wrong with our society is it's like lost a lot of the principles that are taught in like religion and spirituality. Like I'm not saying that religion's for everyone or that it's necessarily like the right or wrong thing, but I just think that the like a lot of the core principles of the most popular religions and a lot of things that I guess people wouldn't call a religion, but more like of a spiritual existence, I guess, or something, or like ideology would be like, to be good to other people and to like think of
That moral code,
a higher power, and like not making things as like self-serving and about yourself or whatever. And I think like a lot of like our current pop culture is like very perverted and like self-satisfying, and it's not really like exemplary of the things that they teach in like doing good unto others and like fucking I don't know, I'm trying to even remember like specifics, but like, you know what I mean.
I absolutely, I'm picking up what you're putting down, Kevin. I get it. And see that, I agree, man. I feel like really the biggest thing, our biggest hurdle is our egos.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That ego and greed.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, that even goes back to the David Grush thing. The whole reason the guy even filed a whistleblower complaint about this technology being hidden isn't because obviously he thinks like, yeah, we should just know that, sure, there's this non-human intelligence out there. We just have the right to know about it.
Yeah.
But it's because he's discovered that like the Department of Energy and places like that, like they figured out a way to have clean renewable energy that they're keeping hidden.
Oh yeah.
For just the purpose of greed, so that way they can continue to make money.
Have you ever learned about Nikola Tesla?
Somewhat, yeah. I know of him.
He was brilliant, and he discovered how to harness electricity from like the air and made like Tesla coils. And I've
heard about that.
Haven't like looked into it recently. By the way, if anybody watching this hears the door shaking, it's one of our cats trying to get in here. He was like, he was actually like towards the end of his life, he was in the process of working on, I forget what it was called. I wish I could remember, but basically it was going to be like a power grid that would provide free energy or free electricity to the entire country. Maybe even like the world. I don't know. I think it wouldn't have been that like far-fetched to provide it for the entire world. I mean, I've even heard Elon Musk talk about like the size footprint that you would need to make like a plant that could provide energy. But anyway, like Nikola Tesla was working on something to do that, and he was not a capitalist really. He was like just like a scientist and like a brilliant I guess engineer. Is that my phone going off? Sorry.
No, you're good.
But he wasn't really in it for the money. He was just brilliant. And like Thomas Edison, I think it was, like, for example, took like his ideas for the light bulb, and everybody thinks Thomas Edison invented the light bulb, but he just bought the patent for it and screwed Nikola Tesla over. Like Nikola Tesla's life was actually pretty terrible and miserable in a lot of ways. Like he at one point was doing well, but I think it was like Ford or like, I don't know, just these really powerful, successful, rich people who were very capitalistic did not want him to succeed because it would lose them money, and they saw a huge opportunity. And if he, like, say for instance, someone implemented like free electricity for the whole country, like there's huge multi-billion-dollar companies that would get put out of business from that, so it's like in their best interest to like get people like that killed or like get them ostracized from society or whatever. I mean, he literally was living in hiding for a long time, and he had secret tunnels that in this like his I think he might have been, I'm trying to remember, I haven't watched a documentary on him in a while, but yeah, I mean, he was working on stuff. Like it's a fact that he had the plans to do that, and the plans were actually confiscated and like supposedly destroyed, but they were like never really found, like when they searched his home. And it's been speculated that like certain people that wanted him dead or like, you know, gone, like took those and either destroyed them or just like, you know, hid them for forever.
Disgusting.
Yeah, it's sad, man.
It is, man, and that.
Like, I think there's
so
probably a
fucking
lot
frustrating.
of stuff out there, like you were saying, that like he was talking about, that like
Yeah.
departments like that are probably keeping under wraps because it's not in their best interest.
Well, you know, even like I said, man, it's been a rabbit hole for me, and I've been watching this whole thing about how like trying to see how this, you know, if this amendment's going to pass or not, because it's a big deal, not just for us but for humanity to like get this type of information. And there's like a couple, you know, guys that are trying to block the amendment, and if you look at who their biggest donors are for their campaigns,
like
there's
gas and oil or something.
There's this guy named Mike Turner.
Yeah.
He represents Dayton, Ohio, which, you know, for those that don't know, that's where Wright Pat Air Force Base is, which is like one of the largest Air Force bases around.
Yeah.
And but like his biggest donors were, you know, like Lockheed Martin and Boeing and all these other huge companies that all kind of tie into this whole reverse engineering thing that David Grush is trying to blow the whistle on, and it's just all a coincidence. Either it's a hell of a coincidence, or
I don't think
there's
it's a coincidence.
or there's some meat to the potatoes there. You know
I think
what
there's
mean?
some meat there, yeah.
I agree, and I don't know, man. It's just been fascinating, and you know, I'm curious to see how that amendment situation is going to play out. I'm curious to see what artificial intelligence is going to do.
Yeah, me
I
too.
feel like we are literally on the cusp of like this technological boom that
Yeah.
we just have. I feel like we're going to be so overwhelmed by it, we won't even know how to.
I don't know how much of that like we'll see in our lifetimes. Hopefully, like some, but I'm sure we'll see some. But like I sometimes I'm like, man, I wish I lived like 1,000 years from now, or just lived like hundreds of years or something, just to like experience more. But yeah, I'm sure at some point or another, like things are gonna get Star Wars-ish.
Man, I'm for it.
I mean, it already like when what was it? I guess maybe the Ukraine war or the Palestine and Israel war, like when they were showing a bunch of footage of, you know, the fighting, and you see like these the artillery shooting through the sky. It looks like some Star Wars shit.
It's well, I mean, also just
Like-
that they're using like drone warfare now.
Yeah.
Is
It's getting there.
it's absolutely crazy, especially in Ukraine. Like,
Yeah.
it's that's another thing. Like, I'm a huge history guy,
Mm-hmm.
so you know, I kind of feel like in a way, watching history literally unfold in our eyes right now is
Yeah, there's a lot going on right now.
so much. I mean, in general, man. I mean, we've had the pandemic, we've had the withdrawal from Afghanistan, the recent presidential elections, and
yeah,
January
the
6th,
Ukraine
that
war,
happened.
January 6th, now the Israel Palestine war.
Just all kinds of stuff that has been happening right now, man. It's very,
and we
very
still don't
fascinating.
have Epstein's list.
No, we don't, man. Oh my gosh, that was one of the first things we've ever talked about.
I know.
too.
I remember that when you were saying that.
Gosh.
Yeah, that's crazy too. Although I think I heard something the other day about that's supposed to come out soon or something like that. But who knows? I don't know if that's true. I maybe just made that up actually.
Bro, I
I swear I heard something like that the other day.
someone's never gonna. I feel like the only way to get information like that is some type of catastrophic leak.
Or you're like one of the elite people that like are in on that information that like is privy to it. But yeah, like as a pleb like ourselves, like we'll probably, I don't know. Actually, I won't say that. Hopefully, we'll learn one day. I don't know. I think just like the public needs to make more changes like that. I feel like there has to be more of like a unison of like the majority of the public to like push for those kind of things. But people are so divided that like
On everything, man.
yeah. Well, that's also, it's like maybe that's not a coincidence either. You know, especially with like all this social media and mainstream media where it's like just 24/7 cycles of like division, you know, fear mongering and shit like that.
So I've definitely tried to cut back on social media.
Me too.
usage because
And
of it.
just
Yeah.
any media really. Like, I mean, I still definitely can't say that I don't use it like kind of a lot, you know, but like I've been cutting back on it for sure. And yeah, I think I don't know, man. I think it's pretty toxic.
Sorry, my
That's
phone's
okay.
been blowing up.
You're good.
But
By the way, you don't have to hold that the rest of the.
I just love it.
That's okay. Yeah, you can if you want. I was like, fuck, I kind of want that, but I'm trying to, I gotta be generous, you know. I feel like, no, like seriously though, Gingy's such a great cat, and I love her so much.
Man, I'm so happy that
She's awesome.
That I was able to give her to someone that I know.
Yeah,
For sure.
Yeah.
And you know what's funny though is, so originally, like in that tiny apartment we had I'm trying to think, we had 2 cats initially, and that's why I had to give you Gingy, because there was no way I could have any more cats.
yeah.
But then we ended up getting rid of all of the kittens that my cat Melinda had, and
Because, if you don't mind me interrupting, so you had Melinda.
Melinda, yes.
That's a good name for a cat. I like it. And then weren't you guys like babysitting like another cat? It was like a male cat.
No,
Or
so
what happened with
Melinda was actually pregnant when we got her, and we didn't know.
How
no
old was
one
she
knew
when you got
she was
her?
pregnant? She was probably like 8 months, maybe.
She was already pregnant.
Yeah, she was a kitten, and yeah, it was.
Like
It was-
16
yeah, it was
and
pretty-
pregnant kind of stuff.
Yeah, man, it was. Trust me, we were like, what the hell?
Yeah.
And yeah, it was definitely
Well, weren't you watching another cat though at the time that happened, or no?
no.
Okay.
No,
I don't know,
this happened at the original owners.
Yeah.
That's where all that happened.
Okay.
And yeah, we got Melinda, and then at first we were like, "Damn, she's just getting really fat." You know, like we did not
So, like,
think.
are we feeding her too much?
Yeah, man. And we were like, okay, I guess it could just be this food. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then we noticed, like, okay, yeah, she's pregnant. She's definitely pregnant.
Mhm.
And oh my God, the night she gave birth, man, I was.
Yeah, I remember you telling me about it. I was just gonna ask. Like, you said how many kittens did she have?
Let's see. There was Gingy. There was an all orange one, which we named Mater. Like,
Mater?
Like Toe.
Oh, Tomato. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah,
you
like Toe
telling me
Mater.
that. Yeah.
And then we from Cars, by the way.
Nice.
And there was a third one which we named McQueen, like
Mhm.
Lightning McQueen.
Okay.
And
Are you a big Cars fan?
I'm not. My wife is. My
Okay.
wife loves Cars.
I don't know that I've ever seen that movie from start to finish.
Yeah, I don't.
I know it's like I don't like dislike the movie or anything. It's just I know I've seen some of it. I may have seen the whole thing even.
My wife loves it. I can't tell you how many times like she'll just turn that movie
It's
on.
like her
and
comfort
like,
movie.
yeah, like no,
like Morgan
nothing
with-
against it.
With Harry Potter, watches it
Like all the
a couple
time.
times a year probably.
Trust me, man. The amount of times my wife has seen me put Revenge of the Sith or Spider-Man 2
Yeah.
on, like I'm sure she's sick of it.
No,
by
I've
now.
definitely got my fair share of movies that I've seen like 10 times at least.
And
There's quite a few actually.
man, the night I tell you though, when Melinda gave birth, we had gone to a birthday party for one of my wife's close friends, and I had gotten absolutely hammered.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't planning to. It just kind of happened, and I got really drunk off of these things called little beers.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea what they were, but it was like this really hard liquor with like heavy cream on top. I felt like I was drinking paint.
Yeah.
I can't, like, that's the only way I could describe it. And I was absolutely hammered, man. And I felt like I got hungover as I was drunk.
Yeah,
Which was, like,
the
the worst
hangover
feeling.
already started.
Yeah, it was already starting. So I was so excited to get home. I get in the bed, and we wake up at the middle of the night, and we're like, oh, Melinda's being, really like lovable right now, and she was like screaming at us,
Mm-hmm.
and she was trying to get our attention. Next thing I know, I wake up to her screaming.
Who, your wife?
No, my
cat?
cat, like,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
absolutely freaking out.
Yeah.
And my other cat, Baby, didn't know how to react. So Baby's getting in a fight with Melinda as Melinda's giving birth.
Yeah, I remember you telling me about
And-
this, but I couldn't remember the exact story, so I'm glad you're
Baby was
reliving
just
it again.
absolutely terrified because the noises Melinda was making, she thought like
Super
we
like
were
feral.
hurting them or
Yeah,
something. And
yeah.
and so Baby, like anytime Melinda would get close to her, she was smacking her away, like, get away, I don't know what the fuck you're doing.
Melinda was doing that to
Yeah,
Baby?
Baby was smacking Melinda.
Oh.
Like, get the fuck away. Like, I don't know why you're screaming at me like
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
Who are you, you
Yeah.
crazy bitch? Like, yeah, it was crazy. And, yeah, man, mind you, when I woke up, I was still, like, drunk.
Yeah.
So I woke up drunk while my wife is sitting there, like, having a panic attack, obviously, because
Yeah,
she's
like,
got
what
to
do I do?
help our cat give birth right there in our bedroom.
Yeah.
And I'm like confused, like what's going on?
Yeah.
Like drunk as shit. Like, dude, that was a nightmare.
I
That was absolutely terrible. I can't tell you how many times I have a bad story that starts with, anyway, I started drinking.
Didn't your wife have to like bust open one of the freaking embryonic sacs
Yes,
or something like
yes.
that? Yeah.
Yes, man, that was disgusting.
I bet.
That was gross. And she had 4 of them. Unfortunately, one of them didn't make it.
Didn't she like sit on it?
Yeah. So Melinda.
That is sad. I'm sorry.
when
I
she
shouldn't
was-
laugh at that. It's just kind of like. you sat
No,
on
I
your own
get it.
kid.
I understand.
And I'm sure that
Um,
happens kind of often too with cats.
Yeah, it was really sad.
I've heard cats like eat their own kids and shit like that. It's
And
disgusting.
I was worried about that happening.
Yeah, that didn't happen.
No, thankfully.
That's good.
And
Could have been Gingy.
oh man,
That would have been terrible.
I know.
She's
In an
an
alternate
angel, man.
universe, that would
Yeah.
have been very depressing.
Yeah.
And yeah, we made like Melinda this, like little nice nursing spot in a closet. And
Mhm.
put a bunch of like covers down, and we're like, okay, we'll let her be comfy. And yeah, unfortunately,
So it was like
Laid
after
on.
she gave birth to all of them, and then she just was like laying
she
down.
laid on one and didn't know it. And
Yeah.
yeah, it was. And it was a really upsetting moment,
I'm sure,
especially for
yeah.
my wife. I felt
Sorry,
so
I don't
bad
mean
for
to
her.
like make light of it.
No,
I'm sure
no,
it was,
no,
like,
no.
kinda
I
traumatizing.
understand. No, I get it. And yeah, it was like, yeah, but happens, man.
Yeah.
And I just remember though, like before she gave birth to all the kittens, I thought it was all over.
Mhm.
I'm a big gamer. Mass Effect Legendary Edition came out. I was excited to replay the Mass Effect games.
Yeah.
And I was just sitting there, and Melinda's just walking in the kitchen, and out just came another kitten. Like
Mhm.
God, dude, our entire apartment just felt like a fucking birthing place.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, man.
Was that the one that was like in the sack? Still?
Yeah, and it was in the sack, and
Was
yeah.
it the cat was like walking around when it happened?
No, so Melinda was walking around, and then when she gave birth, it was the cat in the sack, and that was so gross. That was
Yeah, I
nasty.
bet. I've never
Yeah, dude, and
experienced that.
yeah, no, so yeah, and but after all that happened, after we got rid of all the kittens, I actually ended up getting another kitten that November, because I think that happened in like August or something. I don't know, and just because I felt so bad because we did want to keep one, we
Yeah.
really did, and I had to take one to the shelter, and that was like really sad.
Yeah.
I hated doing that.
Why didn't you keep it?
It's because at the time I was like, man, like we live in this tiny
You weren't ready
apartment.
to have a cat yet.
Yeah, I wasn't ready to have 3 cats.
Yeah. Yeah, in an apartment.
And I was like, look, we're in a little apartment, 2 cats already. We've already outgrown this place.
Mhm.
But at that time, we were house hunting, and I knew like, okay, we're gonna find a new place eventually. So we ended up getting another one in November, and then actually even last November, I got another one, so I have 4 cats now.
Damn.
I've become a bit of a cat man.
Sorry, we got 3. So.
But
I'm a cat
thankfully,
man,
I got enough space for them, so that's not
Yeah.
in that apartment.
It's
but-
honestly awesome. Like having the 3 cats. Like I always thought I would never really have more than 2 cats at once. And Morgan already had a cat when we started dating, so I was like,
Yeah.
whatever, we'll have 3. But it's kind of great, like seeing them interact together, and like they all get along well now. So it's yeah, they're pretty entertaining, and they're all
Man, I
great. I
love
love,
it.
them all.
I love it, and I've definitely growing up. I was like team dog.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, same.
I actually hated cats growing up.
I didn't hate them, but we had a cat and a dog growing up. But I always was more of a dog person. Now I don't really consider. I mean, I still like dogs, but like I'm way more of a cat person now.
I don't have to walk my cat.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong though. I still do want to. I
kinda
do want a
dog.
big dog.
I still want a dog.
I
too.
wa- I
I
still
want to
want a
wait till
dog.
I get a different house with like a nice backyard or something to like have
Right,
a
I
dog
get that.
run around in, and yeah. But I mean, I could have a dog here, I guess, but I'm not gonna get one here. I don't think.
Yeah, that's something that is a conversation I've been having with my wife recently. Is do we want a dog yet or not?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I said I was gonna get a dog since I was a little kid. Like we had dogs growing up, and then I said like when I live on my own, like I'm gonna get a dog for sure. And I kind of assumed that I would get one like right after I became like living independently, and still haven't. But I think I'll probably get one probably like I don't know in the next 5 to 10 years or something like that. So, not anytime real soon, but at some point.
yeah, man, we got that 4th cat last November too, and we had no idea what to name her. We just named her Kitty, and the way
Yeah.
we got her was so.
That's my old cat's name.
Is Kitty really?
Yeah, she passed away, but her name was
man.
Kitty.
It's just such an easy name to.
Yeah. We had our cat before that was Kitty as well.
Really?
Our family cat, yeah.
So you've had 2 kitties.
Well, the second kitty's name was technically Sophia, but my sister named her that, and I never liked that name.
So you just called her Kitty.
Yeah, we called her Sophie too, but it eventually just kind of like evolved into just Kitty all the time.
Yeah,
So,
I get that.
yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. I could never think of a name for our latest one, and she was completely. This is gonna sound funny. She was unplanned.
Yeah.
No, she. We were visiting friends that live in Middletown. Actually,
Yeah.
I had just gotten back from the Air Force Museum with my friend,
Mm-hmm.
and which is great, by the way. I don't know if you've ever been there. That place
Where
is.
in Middletown, you said?
Well, it's in Dayton, right?
Okay.
It's actually right next to Wright Pat Air Force Base.
I think I've driven past it a few
Oh,
times.
dude,
I don't
it
think
is-
I've ever been. Or maybe once a long time ago. But
It is so fucking awesome. It's free.
yeah.
You go in there. It's like these massive hangars,
And
but there's like.
So they have
fighter
planes
jets.
like hanging from the ceiling
Yeah.
and stuff. Yeah.
They also have stuff from like NASA, like some,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, I know there's like a space museum that we pass on our way up to Lake Erie. It's got like a
I know what you're talking
I forget
about.
what it's called or where it is exactly, but I think it's a different place.
I think
than-
that's like close to Toledo.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Yeah, we drove past that too. We went to Toledo recently, and that was. I remember thinking like, "Ooh, I want to go there." It
Yeah.
was like an Armstrong.
It's like a Neil Armstrong kind of thing.
place, yeah. But we had just gotten back from the Air Force Museum, and we were getting our things together, about to leave and head home, and then we hear this little kitten just like scream.
Mhm.
I mean, she wasn't real little. She was probably like 4 months at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and she was screaming. And she jumped up on me, and I was petting her, and she was really nice. And we're like, "Oh wow, look at this stray! Like,
Yeah.
okay, all right, well, it's time for you to go now."
Yeah.
And then when I sat her back down after like holding her and petting her and everything, I opened my car door,
Mhm.
and mind you, it's freezing outside.
Yeah.
It's like right after Thanksgiving.
Mhm.
It's cold as shit, and she jumped right in our car.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, this is different. I've never seen a cat just jump in a car before.
Yeah.
I sit down, and she lays on my chest, and then she was like headbutting like my chin patch.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh fuck.
She's
gotta-
my cat now.
I gotta take her.
That's-
And just because like you could tell like she was so scrawny, and
Mhm.
she was, we always had like a theory like she was dumped,
Mhm.
like someone owned her and then
And
like,
just got rid of her. Yeah.
because she was very friendly with people.
Yeah.
And before I even took her, I went going up and down the street, and I was asking the neighbors like, "Hey, is this your kitten?" I just
Mhm.
want because
Make
I
sure
want
you're
to
not
make
taking
sure I'm not
somebody's cat,
taking
yeah,
someone's cat.
for
Yeah.
sure.
And they were like, "No, she's
That's kind of how
new."
I
yeah.
got my cat in college. When I was living in Florida, I was driving home. It was pretty late. It was probably, it was dark out, and I was driving to my part of the apartment complex, and I saw this little kitten, and I slowed down and like stopped to talk to it out the window, as I do, and and the cat like came up to the car. And I was like, rolling like a snail's pace, and the cat's just like walking along the side of the car, and I eventually opened the door, and like he came up to the door and like got in the car, and I drove him back to my apartment, and he came upstairs with me, and I brought him in the apartment, and my girlfriend at the time, ex-girlfriend obviously now, but like we went to like PetSmart or something and got like a litter box and like
Yeah.
food and stuff, and yeah, so hopefully he wasn't somebody else's cat, but he was microchipped, and I never found the original owner, so I kept him. But yeah, no, he actually passed recently too. He passed just this past year,
Oh,
but
man,
he
sorry to
was
hear that.
he was a great cat, man. He was awesome.
I've definitely became a team cat guy.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, they're pretty
no
sweet.
shame in it, man. I
Yeah.
think they can be assholes.
For sure.
You
They
know,
kinda
it
suck
does
sometimes.
piss me off if I just set something on my desk and I just watch them just knock it off.
I said to Morgan last night, and then Curtis today when we were cleaning, and you now, but like I don't understand how like something so cute can be so disgusting.
Yeah.
Like Morgan said the other day, like DJ, our cat DJ, like was just hanging out with her and just watching her. I forget what Morgan was doing at the time, but like she's just looking at her and then just pukes like right in front of her.
Dude, that's
And like we used to put the cats in here at night because they would keep us up if we didn't. Like
Yeah.
I didn't want to, but like if we didn't, they'd scratch at the door, and
Right.
like it was just like impossible to get a good night's sleep. And lately, like Gingy and DJ have been staying out, and Lupin we've been putting in here, but we used to put them all in here at a certain point. But like they were just like you can't see it that well, but the drum throne on my drum set over there was like, it had like grown hair. Like it just had so much hair like on it. I had to use like an entire lint roller to get it off. And then I was like, all right, you guys aren't using this room anymore. And they'd also like, made messes around the room and like had messed up the hardwood a little bit and the old carpet. And so I decided to stop putting them in here. And then I let them back in, or I started using this room again for them. And then like that hair on the drum throne like was just back so quickly, and I decided to stop again.
Yeah, that's my biggest complaint is the hair, man. I feel like we vacuum around our house every single day.
We don't do it enough. We need to do it more.
Get a Roomba. There you go.
I should.
Well, see, then the shitty thing about that is, what if your cat pukes? And
on the Roomba?
The Roomba's not gonna, not even on the Roomba,
will just
but
move
like,
the puke around.
Yeah, the Roomba will give your flooring a makeover.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, fuck that.
Yeah, I've had, they drive me nuts sometimes, and sometimes I say that I hate them, but I don't. They just drive me crazy.
I feel that way sometimes,
yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
And all of our cats, though, are fully like indoor.
Mm-hmm.
They don't.
None of mine go out anymore, because I had a cat that went missing here, like Gary. I don't know if you remember Gary.
Yeah.
I had him for like 5 years, and he was an outdoor cat at my old house, but it was more like residential.
Yeah.
And here's like, it's more or less residential, I guess. So yeah, I don't know. Hopefully he's out there somewhere still kicking, but I don't know what happened to him.
Yeah, man.
After that, I was like, I'm not gonna let my cats out anymore here.
Well. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are the plans with the green screen, man?
I don't know. I kind of have some ideas to do like a Beavis and Butthead skit in here. That's why I don't know if the wigs. I bought some wigs, and we're gonna make some shirts and try to make it look kind of like Beavis and Butthead. And then we're also gonna do some Wayne's World inspired stuff. And I don't know. I just want to kind of experiment. Like, I don't know if you watch. Do you ever watch like Cody Ko's podcast, like
No.
Tiny Meat Gang, I think is what they call it. But they have a pretty cool set where like the windows they're actually like LED, or I don't know, they're like monitored like screens basically, but they make it look like they pretend that they're in space. That's like the gimmick of their set, I guess.
That's pretty cool.
It's pretty sick. Like they have it, all the windows look like you're floating through space, and
I like that.
yeah, like when the guests walk in, they have like a fog machine that like makes it look like they got like beamed up or something. But they have like a huge budget, and they're like a really big podcast. But just to get creative, basically, like the Wayne's World stuff and the Beavis and Butthead stuff, we're playing around with some different ideas. We haven't actually really used it yet at the moment. It's just kind of like there for diffusing the light from the window, I guess. But I would like to actually use it soon.
Oh yeah, man. I know you've talked about doing the skits before. That would always be
Mhm.
that would be something that would be really fun.
Yeah.
And challenging though.
Yeah, Nick and I had a cool idea. My friend Nick, I don't know if you met him.
I don't think
before.
I met Nick.
He's really a big fan of Eric Andre. You ever watch him?
I've seen some of his stuff. I don't watch him a lot.
He had like a talk show that was like a fever dream, and like it's pretty like insane to watch, but it's pretty funny. I'm not like as big of a fan as Nick is, but it's a good show, and it was pretty popular. But like he had some like ideas inspired by that, and we were kind of playing around with the idea of like trying to make this more like a talk show where we have like little band section and have like a desk, and then like the guest for like host, guest, band. And I found like a half circle curtain rod that could go in front of the door, and you could put like a velvet curtain on it, and then you walk in through that.
You should totally do that.
I think so, right?
You should totally do that.
Yeah, and then we were talking about doing an intro too, which this was the Eric Andre inspired part. Well, part of that also was, but like if we have the curtain and then like walk in with like a suit, and then I was looking into like tearaway suits to where like you just tear the suit off, and then I'm just wearing like normal clothes. But yeah, something like that would be cool, I think. And like I want to consolidate the drum set so it doesn't take up so much room, and then like do some music related stuff in here. Maybe even get like bands to come in and play like a song, or like even do a full set or something. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different possibilities, and we're kind of just still getting started. And I haven't made as much time for doing podcast stuff as I'd like to sometimes, but I think over time, like it'll kind of get more and more kind of like actually fully formed, sort of like molding it still.
Well, it's It's definitely pretty cool, man. And I
Thank
mean,
you.
it seems, compared to the first time you and I filmed episode 1
Yeah.
on your couch in the living
And 2.
room. And 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then episode 1 in here as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. We've, yeah, I mean, you've definitely come a long way.
Yeah, for sure.
from-
The first episode was on just like our family room couch with a big piece of like paper board
Food
or
for
whatever, and we just took a Sharpie and wrote food for thought. I actually started calling it the All Right Show.
I like that.
I thought it was pretty good because it's like, it's just all right, we don't have like a huge budget, we're not like super famous, but whatever. And it's just, I don't know, I just thought it was funny. But yeah, I kind of want to come up with like a theme song for it, intro, outro, and like just kind of use that as like a template. But it doesn't have to stay that way. Like I said, we're still kind of figuring it out. So like, I think at this point it's more of like the trial and error period, and we're just gonna like test different ideas out. And I don't really want to like leave anything off the table unless it's just like not a good idea or something,
Right.
We had some ideas to do like cooking stuff. I don't know. We'll see what happens and what works and what doesn't, At some point too, like this is kind of related, but like we're working on the electrical upgrade and getting the auto up and running. And one of the next things I want to do, maybe in hopefully like a year or two, a year is probably a little ambitious, but like maybe 2 to 5 years, I'd like to double the size of the garage. So I've been like trying to look into that a little bit, and like I had an architect make plans for it, and now I got to get like a surveyor to do the like line drawings or whatever that's called, and then I have to like submit that to the city and get their permit, and then work with the inspection bureau. But like ultimately that's like a goal of mine, is to like basically double the size of the garage, partially for my business because it's now very crammed in there and we don't have very much room anymore. Which is great. It means that we're growing, right? But like,
Right.
But at the same time, it's like we're running out of room, and with the auto up and running too, like we're gonna have the ability to do a lot more volume and make more money and stuff like that. So we're gonna need more room. But when we expand, I want to. I don't really want to like. The second half of the shop that's like new and like completely unused, I don't really want to fill it with like equipment for my printing business. I want to make a sound stage to like make little sets, like 3-walled sets, like the 4th wall being the camera,
Yeah.
and you can have enough room to like we did some of this in college, so like that was kind of inspiring for me. But like, just buying like 2x4s and building like walls that are just standing on their own, and then you can like paint it and go to thrift stores or whatever and buy different props and maybe wardrobe and like rig lighting trusses in there and like light it creatively and use it to shoot, for example, like a music video, or potentially we move the podcast out there and use this to record music or something. Like, who knows? But
Right.
I mean, we'll see where it goes, but that's a goal that I'm trying to work towards.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. It would definitely, I know you were into like filmmaking and like wanting to do skits and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's definitely something like I haven't pursued anything.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? It's a hobby that I want to do.
yeah,
It's
that's kind of
just-
how we connected. I remember. Like,
yeah,
when I
for
met
sure.
you.
Yeah, when I sold you like something at Best Buy.
Yeah, I forget what I was buying.
And you were wearing a Star Wars shirt.
Yeah,
I think that was the
Chewbacca like doing that.
Yeah, that was
in the pocket.
That was the conversation
Starter. Yeah.
starter.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, I definitely would love to do skits and stuff like that. I really loved doing improv in high school when I was in
Same.
like performance classes, and I don't necessarily think I'm good at it, but I have fun.
Yeah,
You
so,
know what
I mean, I want to have fun. You know what I mean? Like, I want it to be good, and I want people to watch, and like ultimately, that's the best of both worlds. Is like the goal where you're like having a good time, you're making good content, and people are actually wanting to watch it. Like, that's the ultimate goal. But like, I mean, I'm making a good enough living with my printing business to where it's like making content doesn't have to be my income,
Right.
which is a blessing and a curse, I think, because without needing it to be an income, there's not as much of like a fire under me to like make shit happen like really
Yeah.
quickly and like work super hard on it. So I have to kind of find that within myself without that. But at the same time, it's a blessing because we can have fun with it and we don't have to worry about like, is this going to make us money, or, you know, whatever. Like, I mean, ultimately, I'd love to make content that you can monetize and like it can help produce income or something. But like, I mean, I just want to have fun and be creative and like fulfill some of those passions in my life, I guess. So
I get it. Yeah,
slowly but surely.
I definitely get that, man. And that's sounds pretty cool. Like I honestly haven't. I feel like ever since like I started working in freight and everything, like I've kind of cut out interest for a lot of hobbies. Except I have picked up new hobbies. My new favorite hobby is going shooting.
I was gonna say, I was gonna guess shooting. We gotta shoot sometime.
Yeah, I know, man. Skeet shooting in particular.
I love skeet shooting.
I love skeet shooting.
I was gonna get a membership at Elk Creek Hunt Club.
Yeah.
I think I've talked to you about that.
Yeah,
place
you
before.
have.
I've looked into it the past couple of years. I went this year for the first time in like, I don't know, 3 years or something, 2-3 years, but it was a lot of fun. And yeah, I love skeet shooting, man. I actually had wanted to. I looked up on like Amazon buying like my own little skeet shooting thing and
launcher.
like, yeah, if I had like land somewhere, I could just go shoot. But I don't have land somewhere. So.
Yeah, that's man. That's something I always tell my wife too. Is next house, I want it to be in the country. I'd love to be able to just do something like that in my backyard.
Yeah, it would be awesome.
You know what I mean? I'm not like a huge like crazy like
neither am I.
gun guy.
Yeah,
but like
neither am I.
Like really the firearms I own. Like I have my shotgun for skeet shooting, and then everything else is like really old and you know they're
cool
World War II artifacts.
Yeah, I have
literally.
I have a muzzle loader that was my dad's, or I don't know where he even got that, but that thing's definitely like I would imagine it's a pretty nice, like valuable gun, and it probably has some history to it, you know. And then I bought like a Glock just for like to have, but I was gonna buy a shotgun for skeet shooting. And that's like why I went to the store to get a shotgun. But they had, I don't know if are you familiar with the Mossberg Shockwaves? Yeah. I bought one of those because it was just cool, and I was like, yeah, I want that. So I don't have a skeet shooting gun. I just would rent one from Elk Creek when I go. But I want to buy my own, so I don't have to rent one, and just to have one would be nice.
Yeah, man, it's fun as hell to do.
Yeah, it is.
I love it. I absolutely
do
love it. We should do that.
Yeah,
we should
definitely. I'm down.
Shit, we can make a video out of it.
Yeah. I would be down. That's another thing actually I've talked about for the podcast. There's like I watch like H3 podcast sometimes, and like they do that every now and then where like they'll have Dan or somebody go to like an event and they'll like kind of live record it like while he's there, while they're at their studio doing the podcast, and they'll kind of like correspond with him throughout the podcast. So I don't know if we could do it live like that, but we could pre-record something and then make it like a segment of the podcast, or it could just be a standalone video. It doesn't have to be like incorporated into the podcast either, but like yeah, either would be an option.
We gotta do it, man.
Yeah,
we gotta do it.
You shoot at that it's more like a driving range. I think of Elk Creek like a golf course, and then there's like driving range more like those other. I've actually not been to one like that aside from like Point Blank or
the one I go to, it's owned and operated by the state. Super cheap.
Yeah, I remember you telling me
it's like $5 a visit or $25 for an entire year.
Yeah, it's hard to beat that.
Mind you, like from you know our side of town, it's probably about like a 45-minute drive to get there. It's
Elk Creek's like at least an hour, isn't it?
Probably.
That's pretty far.
Right. Yeah, like this place, it's Waynesville.
Okay.
Waynesville, Ohio. That's where the place I go to is, and I mean it's great. You have to be like a Ohio citizen. You gotta go through all that stuff and everything, but it feels a lot safer and a lot more trustworthy than like Point Blank or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I haven't shot there in forever.
Neither have I, and it's also just too expensive to go there. Like I'm not gonna spend $30 to shoot my gun.
Yeah, I've thought about it.
I also have to spend like shit ton on ammo.
Yeah,
like,
I thought about taking Morgan there, and she said she was up for it, but we haven't been because
it's great. Like I've taken my wife there too. You know, when I got my first gun for home defense. Because I was like, look, this is how you use it, and like,
that's kind of why I want to go with her. Like, she's shot like once before, maybe or something.
Yeah, and it's a great place to like do firearm safety for sure.
Yeah.
Because when at the outdoor range that I go to, there isn't a like there, at like Point Blank, there's like those electric things.
It's actually technically Range USA now.
Did you know that? Range USA. My bad. Yeah, that's right. Whatever. Range USA, they have like the electronic things where you press a button and like
they move closer, farther. Yeah.
At the range I go to, you have to put your targets on like a wooden post.
Mm-hmm.
You have to call a ceasefire. People have to like stand behind this line, make sure all your weapons are clear.
So there's no risk.
Yeah, and like everyone has to stand behind the line.
I mean,
I'll
say the couple times that I've shot. It's not like I constantly feel like this, but the few times I've shot it point blank, it has crossed my mind. Like, what if somebody was just crazy? Like,
that's a fear that I have anytime no matter where I go shooting.
Yeah.
You know, that is like a real fear, man.
Yeah,
like,
same.
I just, everyone could look normal, but
yeah, what if they're just having a bad day or they've been thinking about it for a while?
But that's why it's important to have like range safety. Like it's really important. Like the place I go to, thankfully,
range safety is in like etiquette,
people to
or like
etiquette
security
and security.
Yeah,
like
I know Range USA has or Point Blank or whatever had security. I think.
Yeah, they have like a person that watches everyone.
Yeah.
Yes, and like that kind of stuff is definitely a necessity. But
yeah.
But yeah, I'd say out of all the hobbies, that's probably I picked up that hobby in 2021. I've slowed down on it, and but it is fun.
Yeah,
sure. I do love doing it.
It would be cool to have like your own place because then you're
outside.
able to like just invite who you want to be there and who you trust, and you don't have to worry about being around strangers shooting. Yeah, and it's like at your own comfort of your home. Shooting your boxers if you want.
Just wake up. Good morning, nature. And just fire away. Oh, yeah. Holy shit, man. That sounds like the dream.
Yeah, it's the hillbilly dream right there.
Yeah, that sounds like the dream, man. I don't know. I like, honestly, I'd love that, man.
I would too. I'd plan on buying like land or having somewhere that has land someday.
That's what I want.
Sooner or later.
That's definitely what I want. Don't get me wrong.
Check out billyland.com.
Billyland?
This episode brought to you by billyland.com. Just kidding. But Billyland actually is a pretty great place to buy land. It only has certain states, but dude, you can get like an insane amount of acreage for nothing.
Really?
Like, look it up. It's nuts. Like, you can get like 40 acres for like $1,000 or something.
Man,
like,
crazy.
it's for real. Like, and it's legit. And they have land in a bunch of different states. I think they might have Ohio every now and then, but I don't know if they have Ohio. I know they got like Kentucky or Indiana or something like that. So
I wouldn't mind moving to like Kentucky.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's not that far depending on where it's located.
And yeah, man, that's definitely like. Don't get me wrong. I will admit I do love the town that we live in. Mm-hmm. I really like Chevy a lot.
Yeah, I have a lot of love for Chevy.
Especially like during this time of year, I love all like the Christmas.
All the work they did recently too makes it look a lot nicer. I think.
Yeah, it looks nicer.
The traffic is a little slower.
Weird.
But it feels less ghetto.
Well, well, even with like Glenway, I hate how they put it. Like if you go further down Glenway, more towards like Covedale, how they went from 2 lanes to 1 lane.
Yeah,
dude, I hate that shit.
Yeah, are you talking about like in Cheviot too? How they did
even
that?
in Cheviot, how they did that, like right by your house.
Yeah, I used to love passing people. I was, since I live here, I've got like the little area like pretty well figured out for driving, and
especially during the Harvest Home Fair. Oh my god.
Yeah, and now it's like you can't pass people, and there's always cars parked there. So it kind of sucks for that, but I think it looks way better. It looks way more like a nice little town, and like I think it's just good for the little pocket of, society we have here.
Well, it's a great place, especially, like a couple weeks ago, actually probably even closer to a month ago. Like I went bar hopping with friends and
like on all the bars in Cheviot?
Yeah, and you just stay, like come park at my house.
Yeah, I did that for the playoffs a couple years ago.
And you just walk around.
Yeah,
man.
it was fun.
I just being able to walk around and.
There's so many bars in Cheviot.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Bars and barber shops and like dance studios.
It was funny when I went bar hopping. Actually, do you know who Joji is?
No, I don't think so.
Joji, so he's a musician. He actually used to be like a YouTuber.
Yeah.
And
is he from around here?
No. But there was this random guy. Like mind you, again, as a lot of my stories are, I was a little under the influence. And I was walking with my friends. This random guy just walked up to us and joined our group. We had no idea who this dude was. And, I got to know him, and then he and I bonded over, like, Joji, and we went bar hopping with this guy.
Nice.
And, I remember putting on, like just standing in front of this bar that was a corner down there, and, like, he and I were singing and, like, jumping to this, like, Joji song, and I was like, who the fuck is this guy? Just this random guy that I'm just, like, acting like I I've known my whole life.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, that was
Liquid Courage will do that too, though.
it's crazy, man. I get so jolly.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, no, it's one of the nice things about drinking, I guess, sometimes. But it can definitely have like a bad effect too.
Mind you, I don't do it often.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's why it impacts me the way it does.
Yeah, because you're
My
like there to have a
tolerance
good
level
time.
is, like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I had like 4 drinks last Saturday. He works with me now. His name's Curtis. But he also plays music, and he and his dad play shows like most weekends, once or twice a weekend. And he wants like ultimately to make a living just with music. So he's kind of, I think he makes like 50% of his income with music, and then he's working here. So like that helps with the remainder.
Yeah.
But he and I've been like starting to play music, and I've known him since high school or so. So like we've played throughout the years on and off, but like we started playing again recently, and so he was over on Saturday, and we played for like 3 or 4 hours, probably not completely straight. Like we took breaks and stuff, and then I went over to my friend Joe's house to play some bluegrass like right after that for like a couple. Got there at like 8 and left at like midnight, but we talked a lot too, so it wasn't like constant music. But he invited me to play some bluegrass, which I don't play, but but I've been learning to read music for like 6 years on and off as well, so I've become like relatively proficient on a beginner's level of reading music, and so like I could kind of hang and play some of it. And bluegrass, thankfully, is like a pretty basic form of music, not to like take away from it or say it's not hard to do, but like the notes are kind of easy and it's not like that complicated, at least what we were looking up to. I'm sure there's way more advanced stuff, but like anyway, I had a couple drinks over there. I got just sidetracked, but I had like 4 drinks over there, and I don't drink that often, so I was feeling it.
This is making you feel a little loopy.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, no,
But I got home and I was just in like a great mood, and like I had a great day that day, and like I don't know, yeah, no, drinking's nice every once in a while for sure. Try not to do it too much. But,
yeah,
you know.
no, I'm right there with you. But yeah, man, I mean, I gotta admit, I think that's a good end point.
I agree. I think I gotta use the bathroom myself.
yeah. Well, it was great being back, man.
Yeah,
and
great to have you
I'll try
back.
not to be a stranger.
Yeah, please.
And do this more, man, because I mean, I forgot how fun.
Yeah, dude, I love podcasting with you. It's our 4th one now, I guess, right?
Yeah, this is podcast number 4, especially after the way the 3rd one went, and that again,
Is that why you haven't been back in so long?
Partially.
Is it really?
Yeah, man.
Like,
I'm not. I don't think I could like state how embarrassed I was from that pod.
Sorry.
But I look back.
I
at
wasn't
it now,
thinking of it like to try to embarrass you or anything.
No, I know, and like looking back at it now, the way I don't know who edited that, but whoever edited it,
remember who did.
Edited. Oh, God,
It's
that's a tongue twister.
Yeah, for sure. It was either Zach or Nick, maybe Nick Figueroa, not Nick Stamper.
Yeah, whoever was the editor for that did a great job, because I the first time I watched that, I was in tears when I was away from the seat and I would talk and it would cut to my empty chair.
Yeah, I think that was Nick Figueroa.
Yeah, dude,
Shout
that
out,
was
Nick.
great.
If
That
you ever
was-
want to work with us again, I'd love to work with you again.
That was absolutely great, and but yeah, that experience did embarrass me, and it did kind of make it to where I was like, you know what, I want to take a little bit of break.
Dude,
from
no,
business.
I mean, as you know, I did like vlogs like weekly for a while, and then like on and off, and I've done a little bit of music, and I've done podcasting and like some other stuff, and I've had my fair share of like watching my videos back and being like self-conscious or feel embarrassed about it, and like even still, like I get that way, but I just kind of, I don't watch my content back as much as I used to, which I think helps. And I just I don't know, I don't necessarily feel that way all the time.
Now I have this mentality that, you know what, because I've gotten over like that embarrassment from that. I'm like, you know what, it is what it is. It happened.
Yeah.
It was funny as fuck.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's
not
like, look,
it's good to laugh at yourself sometimes or
if
whatever.
someone doesn't like what we're talking about, or doesn't like me or anything, like well, fuck it, they could do. They could just move on.
Yeah, you know, don't watch the video. Then
go
I
watch
guess,
something different. Yeah,
or leave a negative comment if you really want. But like,
yeah,
you know, whatever.
I don't give a shit what you think. Yeah.
Exactly. It's like some stranger on the internet.
So I think for me, it mainly just took a lot of maturing on my to just stop being so
like self-conscious.
Yeah. Like at this point, dude, I've matured to a point where I'm like, fuck it, I don't give a shit.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at too. I mean, I still definitely get self-conscious and like have those thoughts every now and then, but like ultimately, like, I want to do this. I put in a decent amount of effort and time and money into
It
like
looks
gear.
great.
Thanks.
I wish they could all see.
Yeah, it's almost cooler from this perspective than the cameras.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. I mean, you've really come a long way from a table and some standing lights.
Yeah.
I feel like every time we would go to film, there was always an audio issue.
Yeah.
For
real. Hopefully that's not the case when we're done here.
I'm pretty sure with our 3 previous episodes we've done together, there has been some type of audio complication.
It's been so many like hiccups and like trial and error, and
it seems like now it's like, damn, man, it looks fucking put together.
Way more dialed in for sure, and like
Yes.
I want to get the set to look cool now. That's like my next step, is like trying to dial in the lighting. Like I've noticed as we're shooting a day, like this angle is a little blown out, and I think it's because I forgot to lower this blind, and so like when the
that
sun
natural
gets
light's
brighter,
coming in.
it makes me too bright. But like I'm also super white, so I'm like a bounce board.
Yeah, I look like I'm glowing from the screen.
Yeah, I probably should have fucked with the lighting a little bit more. I tried to before you got here, and I thought I had it. It's probably gonna be a little bright in the edit, but it's whatever.
I'm also just really white.
Yeah, we're very white people.
I'm a very bright Caucasian.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, like, man. Yeah.
But yeah,
that's,
I'll have to work on my tan or something. I don't know.
Oh, man. Well, appreciate you for having me again.
For sure.
It's been great, man.
Thanks for coming back. Yeah,
of course, man.
I've been looking forward to podcasting with you again, and it's been cool to catch up.
We'll be back at it.
Heck yeah. Let's go shoot as well.
Yeah.
I'd love to.
Hell yeah. Peace, everybody.
See you guys.
Adios.
All right.
Cool.